Morning, everyone. Hope everybody's having a good time at OCP, and good to see a lot of people here at the Sonic workshop this morning. So this topic has been in the background for a little bit of time. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So SONiC-VPP has been in the background for a little bit of time. Cisco started working on it a few years ago, and then put the initial plan and got a few things going, and then it kind of went dormant for some moment of time, and we finally found a real need for SONiC-VPP, and we started the work up again several months ago, and this is an update from where we are from previous versions of SONiC-VPP. We'll kind of walk you through a few things that we have done in this reboot, and aiming for a real target this time, and we'll walk you through what the target really is. And contrary to what other folks previously mentioned, AD and team are focused squarely on the simulation using chip emulator and simulation software. This is purely geared towards the open source community with the ethos of open source and open source. Okay, so we have SONiC and VPP, and you can potentially do a lot of things, and we'll walk you through what we have done and where it can potentially go. Okay. We'll walk you through a little bit of the high-level architecture and the key components there, a set of new features that we have added, and why those features really matter in the ability to test. And we'll also showcase a few things that we have done with SONiC-VPP in conjunction with BMV2 in the context of Smart Switch. There are potential scenarios that will make it easier to test for you. And more importantly, our target that we are trying to get to is have SONiC-VPP as part of the Azure CI/CD and PR checking capabilities and things like that, right? So that's the primary target that we are aiming for, and we are kind of well on the way to that journey, and we'll walk you through what that means. I will walk you through the journey on how we are getting there, right? And we also want to seek more community contributions and collaborations. A lot of people do join these work group meetings now. It's run as part of a 2-project work group as part of virtual dataplane. There's Alpine, and there's also SONiC-VPP, and we alternate meetings on both those topics. And there's serious traction on both those areas, and there's a lot of work that's ahead of us. We'll kind of walk you through a little bit of where that is, and we'll leave with a call to action. Okay. So why do we want to do SONiC-VPP here, right? That's like the primordial question that everybody is probably thinking. We've got so many other options, and why SONiC-VPP, right? Really, SONiC does not have a compelling software forwarding data plane, like period, right? And we've used SONiC-VS, and it's got its own issues. VPP really fits the bill here, right? And it's a fast forwarding plane. It's hardened over time. It's got many features. Of course, you can always add more, and it's purely driven via an open source community model, right? And FD.io is doing a great job. That's been booted up for quite a while. It's shown up in various scenarios across severely tested use cases. So we have a compelling data plane that's out there in the community that SONiC can really leverage. And why does it matter, right? Really, we want to empower everybody to take a feature from proto to production, and this is one way to do that, right? You can quickly test your northbound. You can quickly test core functionality in a data plane that's already available. You can wire in new features into the data plane. You really don't need any vendor dependency to a lot of the heavy lift that you want to do, right? You get a lot of that for free, and really that's a compelling story. And over time, what is this going to give us? A new software platform, right? We are starting small. We're going through the motions. We have a path towards Azure integration for CI and PR. But over time, what are you getting? You're getting a real platform, and you're getting it for free through the community model, and you can really do a lot more things. So our primary goal today is getting it to a testable environment. That's the first use case. And there are a lot of other use cases that VPP already has played its part in, right? We can write a CNBNG or a UPF with FWA use case. We can do a lawful intercept with some stateful scenarios. We can bring that into any testable environment. We can do cloud gateways. We'll show you what our partners are doing with some of these things, right? A quick 1-minute summary. I won't go into a lot of details. VPP is fairly obvious for a lot of people. It's an extensible software forwarding data plane. It uses intelligent cache management and reduces read latencies and batch processing. It's got plugins that you can write, and all plugins are same as other graph nodes. And you can build an arc of functionality through VPP fairly quickly. And today you have all these features that I've listed out. I'm not going to go into each one of them. All these features are in play, and they're really available to really harness by any control plane that you want, right? From a performance perspective, it's already obvious. I mean, VPP is really pretty good at what it does. 20 gigs per core is not something to discuss it. It's an obviously a good hardened data plane that does core set of functionality really, really well, and it's really scalable at high scale as well. You can test a lot of the scale functions also in your test environments. Next slide, please. So from SONiC-VPP perspective, the first set of features that we are enabling is this, right? Switching and routing capabilities for the data center. And these are all like bread and butter scenarios that come to you at play. And SONiC-VS really does some of these things and doesn't do some of these other things. And we are adding more as we go here. And there are lots of knobs, obviously, in each of these features that can potentially be turned on as time goes. And in this iteration, we have brought in VXLAN, VNet capability. We have added SRv6. All of this really took fairly short order of work because we had the infrastructure behind us with SONiC-VPP. Okay. And clearly, given this is an open source environment, we have dependencies on VPP that can be easily mitigated, right? We have a build and a packaging infrastructure. We pull in the stuff out of VPP. We build the Sonic build image. You have the the SONiC-VPP environment to boot yourself up, right? And you can bring your own VPP version, and that's also equally possible, right? So all of these options are streamlined in this incarnation. We have been working a lot on in the background on improving the infrastructure and bringing in the enhancements and increasing the coverage on features, right? The compelling story is we're building the infrastructure. We have a target. We want to get into make sure that we have an alternative in Azure for both CI and PR checker. And over time, we have a targeted goal to have a really hardened platform. So I think Fred will walk you through a few of the other core points on SONiC-VPP. Go ahead, Fred.
Here are the major components in SONiC-VPP. At the top is the SONiC control plane. It communicates with VPP data plane, which runs as another process through the SONiC-VPP side API. Internally, it uses VPP binary API. And VPP uses DPDK to send and receive packets. SONiC-VPP can be packaged as a container or as a VM. We have streamlined the SONiC build on x86. Right now, we can build the SONiC-VPP directly from SONiC build image just as any other platforms. It supports GMI and REST for configuration. We also added a VPP data plane CLI along with other CLIs. It adds data plane manageability and debuggability. Here is another view of the SONiC-VPP high-level architecture. From the top, the green box is the SONiC control plane. We have the common components as WSS. It talks to SyncD through ASIC-DB. And SyncD is responsible to program VPP data plane. It does that through the libsci vpp.so, which is the VPP side implementation. And the libsci VPP talks to VPP process through the binary API over IPC, because VPP data plane is another process. Typically, there's one master thread in VPP and multiple worker threads. Worker threads are responsible for packet handling, receiving and sending packets. Depends on the number of interfaces and also the throughput expected. We can tune the number of worker threads to handle the load. And Linux CP plugin is responsible for sending and receiving traffic from control plane. Netlink listens to Netlink event. Netlink plugin listens to Netlink event and to receive interface up-down notification. We also introduced the VPP platform service into the SONiC. It's mainly to generate a startup conf for VPP. The major configuration in it is the mapping from VM interface to VPP data ports. And we recently introduced VNet VXLAN data plane feature into SONiC-VPP. We support IPv4, IPv6, VXLAN in-cap, decap. We support the IPv4 in IPv4, IPv4 in IPv6, IPv6 in IPv4, and IPv6 in IPv6, all the combinations. Also, it supports multi-hop BFD as monitoring for route protection. Also, the VXLAN overlay SMP path and the primary backup path. Another feature, data plane feature recently introduced is the SRv6. It supports UN, UA, SRv6 policy, traffic steering over SRv6 policy, and UDT4 and UDT6. We have evaluated Phoenix Wing as well. We believe SONiC-VPP supports most of the features required in that test plan, and we can run SONiC-VPP also in this Phoenix Wing.
Yeah, just to add another data point here, SRv6 work was already embedded in VPP for a while, and we just exposed that, and the entire Phoenix Wing testbed, that test suite that we have is almost 90% covered with the work that we've done. It took us maybe about 3 weeks of work
3 weeks.
to really wire in everything. So we have another alternative environment in addition to chip level simulation software. You can use SONiC-VPP to get started. Right. So Eddie, where are you?
Thank you. This is a real-life deployment scenario. We use SONiC-VPP and BNV2 to build a virtual smart switch. It's a sandbox for smart switch development and test with open source components. We demoed this last year in the OCP.
Right.
It's a solution. We use SONiC-VPP to simulate the NPU and BNV2 for the DPU. Verification traffic can send from PTF and sniffed from PTF. We can build a larger topology by adding T2, T0, so we can run the SONiC management test.
Right. So in fact, whoever was there at the OCP demo for HA, we actually did this to bootstrap some of the early software work in lieu of the hardware to essentially do the HA work on this virtual smart switch. And we demoed the real one a couple of days ago.
Also, for the status of SONiC-VPP running in Azure CI/CD pipelines, our goal is to enable SONiC-VPP as a SONiC PR tracker to complement SONiC VS. Because SONiC VS does not have a real data plane, some tests are skipped or they run but not sending real traffic. So some code paths are not covered. Actually, recently, we debugged a test failure in SONiC-VPP, we discovered a bug in the SonicMgmt test, which is in this uncovered code path. If SONiC-VPP has been enabled as a PR checker earlier, it would have catch this issue. But right now, SONiC-VPP is run as nightly, not as PR checker. We have created build pipelines to build a SONiC-VPP platform for 2505 and the master branch. And also we created a test pipelines, CI/CD pipeline, to run T1 lag SonicMgmt test. The most recent test result, we got 400 plus tests passed, but there's one failure. Appears recently. There's a memory utilization failure in SWSS. We need to continue to investigate what's the root cause. We also have about 500 ACL tests to be added. They already passed in T1 topology, but not on the T1 lag topology. Once that is completed, they can be added. For the next steps, first we like to promote build and test the pipelines to PR checker, to both Sonic build image and SonicMgmt. And also, we like to expand to other topologies, T0, multi-ASIC, smart switch, and with more features.
I think we want to thank Guhan and his team because they were kind of instrumental in getting all of this stuff done in the back end for us to enable this for nightly build, and it was fairly straightforward after that, right? So beyond what we have done so far, there are teams outside of Cisco and Azure who are actually also using this. The Arista folks, I think Max and team who are here probably, they have also begun to show a lot of interest and contributions towards improving ability to test essentially SI, using VPP SI as a baseline, and there's a piece of infrastructure work that's coming into play, and Max and team are helping us out. Thanks, Max, and we'll catch up further on this tomorrow in the breakout session. And we have friends and collaborators at Equinix who've also been playing with a lot of forward-looking technologies, and they've published a bunch of white paper. And Oleg, I think, who couldn't be here, did commend the work that we have done and he's leveraging, and they're evaluating SONiC-VPP in various ways in Equinix to build this multi-cloud gateways to essentially do data set transfers and inferencing engine policy and inference engine multimodal activity there in Equinix. So, and he has a laundry list of features that he would like to see improve, essentially geared around performance. And those are things in our backlog to pick up and run with. Clearly, these are like the three who are actively showing up in most of our conversations. And I think Dan from Bell Canada is also using SONiC-VPP. He's one of the other guys who's actually working in the background and trying to do a few things with SONiC-VPP as well. So there's a fair bit of traction and interest. We would like to have more contributions come in as well. So we do have a few call-outs for action. We do want to see more contributions and stronger participation in PR reviews and closing the issues. And we want to accelerate new features that we want to build into the infrastructure to enhance the testing quality like we set out. The first goal is to really complete the entire SonicMgmt suite for T1 and T0, right? So we are kind of somewhere along the journey here. We want to really finish up that work, and that takes active triage and real hard work, grunt work to get through thousands of scenarios at play. So that's it's a real burner, and we need people to really jump on and help us out in a big way in the community. And like Fred mentioned, we are already finding problems that we didn't find before, and there is value. And once there's value, there's we can put some wood behind it, right? And once it goes into the PR checker model, we need kind of a little more active triaging so that we catch these failures a little bit more aggressively. and that can be done by like 1 or 2 people sandbagged with other work. So we really want people to jump on and help, be active and proactively looking at these PR checker failures, help us out and get the engines moving, right? So in the initial go around, we will probably not block PRs, right? We will kind of get them through. We want to see how the workflow works out, and then slowly start kind of putting the gates on many of the things that we think we are confident with, right? So it's going to be an active engagement model here. So I'd like to solicit more feedback, change the mindset, adopt SONiC-VPP. There is benefit, and we do want to encourage more people to participate with us, right? The virtual data plane group meets every week. It's on Tuesday at 9. We alternate between Alpine and SONiC-VPP, so I'd like to have folks join in, bring in your agenda. We have a running list of backlog of items, and we have a breakout session tomorrow. We'll kind of hit on a few of those, and also work with our partners on Alpine. So I welcome you to join us. Any questions?
I'm new to the SONiC community, so thank you for introduction. So quick question, can you introduce me a little bit about the SONiC ACL feature scope? And second question is the BGP on number being considered or is being introduced already on the VPP data plan? Thank you.
For the ACL, we is still a work in the progress. We have issue on the port channel, but basically we have tested on the T1 topology. We created table rules, bind the ACL rules to the ports. Those has been validated.
Right. Right. I believe it is possible.
Yeah. And the other question for BGP number we have implemented and already tested in the SRv6 along with SRv6. Yeah.
Any other questions? So final call out to folks who are maybe onboarding newbies in your companies. So get them on SONiC-VPP. We'll give them some work. We get some output out of it. We get some contributions. You get bootstrap your guys. That's my final call out today. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Murali, and thank you, Yue.